Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and the next content update for the War Within expansion, patch 11.15, is right now up for testing over on the PTR realms, bringing with it new content, from new Arathi invasions within Hollowfall and Ashgahed, to returning content like BFA's Visions, filled with a variety of different cosmetics, but also a ton of new rewards and more challenges. Another feature that's also going to be made available in 11.15 at some point in the future will be Dastardly duos, which kind of pays original homage to the Brawlers Guild from way back in the day, but it's more of like a boss rush, trash rush type of mode where you run into the dome, blasting your way through as many enemies as possible to earn as many points as you can. This seems to be an event that will bring players weekly cosmetic rewards for you to collect, but also a mount to unlock, a variety of different achievements for you to earn while within this event, but also an opportunity for players to get high score in order to have the bragging rights against everybody else diving into the Dastardly Dome. Early on in PTR, I finally got a chance to dive into Dastardly Duos and collect some footage and show off exactly what the event looks like, at least in its early iterations on the PTR, and I want to share with you guys what the event is like, as well as the rewards, and what the gameplay may look like in the future. Right now, everything is a work in progress, so expect some changes before the live release. As always, if you guys want to see more regular patch 11.1 Season 2 updates or 11.15 regular updates on the PTR, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So Dastardly Duos has finally become available over on the PTR, and you know what? Just getting the PTR up and running has been a bit of an issue. The footage you'll see in today's video will be absolutely disgustingly horrendous looking, mostly because I had to turn down everything just to keep the PTR server stable. In fact, even just to log into PTR, I first need the game to crash to then load miraculously. So there have been a lot of issues that I've been going through, so the visuals may look a little bit less than what I enjoy showing off, but I will try at least to play out the experience and show you exactly what it all looks like, just to show off what this event even is. Dastardly Duos is kind of like a big boss rush trash run event mode where you get thrown into the dome, having to fight enemies with a timer of about 5 minutes or so. You can extend the timer through a variety of different tasks, and your whole point in there is to slay enemies and score up as many points as possible to then claim rewards, either on a weekly basis or rewards at the end of each run. As you slay foes, you collect points, and you can even show off that high score to other players. It basically includes a variety of hectic combat, a variety of enemies from different expansion eras, some of the familiar dungeon bosses that are constantly running at you at all times, and the more enemies you can slay and face, the bigger the score and the greater the rewards. The actual Dastardly Duos locations will be outside of Stormwind, or rather inside of Stormwind, in Orgrimmar, and right outside of Dornogal. There'll be a nice little camp area where a bunch of goblins have set up a Dastardly Duo event, and there you have a variety of different NPCs, one of them that cues you into the instance of Dastardly Duos. The variety of different rewards from Dastardly Duos right now are a little bit all over the place. At least for now though, we do know that there's a weekly bonus every single time you come by, so it looks like it is meant to be an event that lasts, I believe, 6 weeks or maybe 8 weeks or something along those lines, and every single week there's a new reward for you to earn. One of them being a Dastardly Duo banner that allows you to place a banner with the sigil of Dastardly Duos, but also a winner's podium, very similar to the one that they have kind of displayed out in front of the main camp area. But it's basically a toy that allows you, I guess I can't drop it too closely, it's a toy that allows you to also put a podium out of your own. Standing on the podium, it'll actually show what your highest score is. It will rank other players with the high score. It will rank you along the podium. You can see there's like a golden reward, silver reward, bronze, as well as the, I guess, 4th place and 5th place. And I'm assuming there's going to be a variety of other rewards as well over the next few weeks, but right now we can only test a limited amount of them. Besides this, we also do know that Dastardly Duos awards a mount out of this event, which is Tyranitor, a turtle mount, which is very similar to one of the, I think it's Arcadian turtle from Legion, or maybe one of the turtles from the Trading Post, but it's a very familiar model, but it has more of this albino turtle look to it. And in fact, Dastardly Duos has its own achievement section where you have a variety of these bonuses that don't necessarily award you any points, but this will be some of the achievements that you can unlock during the main event. Besides this though, at the end of a run of an event, you also get a treasure chest, and inside can either be veteran track or champion track gear. You also get a bonus satchel every time you complete one of these events, and in there I've been able to get a variety of mostly warbound items that are cloth based, though not all of them. I've gotten a plate item, the missing diplomat's pauldrons, for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why or why not. And also another thing to note is technically you can't collect mogs with these pieces. These don't seem to be sets from newer expansions or anything brand new, but rather like a repurposed version of some of the Wrath, Kata, TBC, vanilla era type of rewards, as well as cosmetics that you can obtain from the Dastardly duo event. But potentially this could also be nice catch-up gear for any of your old characters, although I feel like the warbound gear should probably be turned up to at least champion track in order to make gearing your alts, I think, that much easier, at least in my personal opinion. The actual event is quite interesting. It's very similar to Brawler's Guild from the original version, if you ever played any variation of Brawler's Guild from previous expansions. But instead of you fighting just a single boss, it's actually like back-to-back challenges that all happen very rapidly. You first spawn into a prep room for the actual Dastardly Duos event, and that event room allows you as a solo player to either group up with dungeon NPCs, very similar ones you'll be able to find within follower dungeons, or this is an opportunity for your pre-made group to figure out what kind of a composition you're going to be running, who's the tank, who's the healer, who are the DPS, and what kind of a combination you're going to be playing into this event. As a solo player, the fact that you have access to NPCs, I think it's quite interesting, but you can also dismiss them if you're looking for a pure solo challenge. Once you're in the prep room, you also have a couple of tables. One of them has food and the other has potions for you to grab up. From the food table, right now there's only 2 types of food available, and likely more to be added in the future. We have things like a beefy burger, which gives you 30% more damage and makes you take 30% less damage, which makes it a little bit easier for you to kill enemies and not die while in combat. Then you also have a challenging shrimpy fish, which actually makes you do 20% less damage, take 25% more damage, so that food can actually make you weaker, but it increases your score that you get from kills and surviving within the Dastardly Duo, so it's more of a challenge food in order to collect higher score within the actual rounds. The potion section has 3 vials, at least for the time being. A vial of healing that regenerates health every 2 seconds, a can of amps for 50% more movement speed, and a bottle of invisibility, which allows you to start the round invisible, but it seems that the potion breaks on damage as soon as you do anything, so it seems to be less good overall. And then from there, a timer starts of 5 minutes for you to defeat the challenge, where inside of the dome you will slay mobs as well as decorations, which will feature a variety of different casters and melee enemies, very familiar foes if you ever played through vanilla TBC or even some of the Cataclysm dungeons. And after some time, bosses begin to spawn. I usually got 2 bosses unless I was able to summon a 3rd one, which I'll talk about in a second, because you can use items within Dastardly Duos, but 2 bosses, familiar encounters, spawned at the same time, and you kind of get to experience those fights side by side. Also utilizing some of the older dungeon bosses from vanilla, Cataclysm revamps of dungeons, as well as the TBC variations of boss dungeons. You also get to blow up decorations, and when you do that, you discover little bombs. Keeping those bombs near enemies allows them to build up a bar, and once they do, they create this spotlight zone, and keeping enemies in the zone allows you to earn additional points. So it's something that you will have to maintain and manage while still participating in the fight, and with you given only 5 minutes to do everything, you have to do everything very quickly in order to position things accordingly. Like I mentioned earlier, you could also use items inside of the Dastardly Duo event. I was able to use things like a burner clock to add 30 seconds to the timer to make sure that the timer doesn't elapse before I'm able to finish the challenge. There's also a bullhorn of calling that allows you to summon an additional boss into the encounter, and I was able to go from a 2-boss encounter into a 3-boss encounter really quickly, getting that one ogre boss from the revamped version of the Deadmines dungeon. You can also use a master key that lets you operate one of the unoccupied vehicles in the dome. And for the time being, I only saw 2 vehicles, one of them being a pyro machine, which I think is meant to be some kind of a vehicle that lets you do damage, but it doesn't seem to be super consistent and doesn't really seem to do too much. It has 2 firework theme based abilities, one of them to pull enemies together, and I believe the other is to shoot fireworks and do damage, but I couldn't really get it to work super well. The other is a score bonus Zeppelin, and all you can do is move that Zeppelin to different areas, and the Zeppelin always has a spotlight under it. enemies within the spotlight of that Zeppelin will allow you to earn additional points, and the only thing you can do with the Zeppelin is move it around and leap out of the Zeppelin when you need to. So you kind of want to, I think, position the Zeppelin in a good spot where you'll be able to group up a bunch of enemies, maybe stack it together with the zone created by those bombs in order to maximize your points gained during the encounter. And for the rest of the encounter, you're just defeating waves of enemies, waves of bosses, and overlapping boss encounters at the same time. And at the end of the run, you get to see your score for the run, which gives you more points based on how many enemies you're slain, how quickly you completed the round. But you also get a treasure chest, which allows you to gain additional items and armor, most of it being warbound gear. Afterwards, you get to go back to the main duo starting area or the main camp area in Orgrimmar, Stormwind, or outside of Dornogal, and you can talk to the NPC to get your weekly reward from the Dastardly duo quest. In order to collect a variety of different toys that I've been able to collect so far, at least for the first 2 rounds of the first 2 quests that are available on the PTR. With that being said though, for now it is very difficult to properly test this event. It does seem, PTR being very buggy for me. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that's experiencing these issues though, but I tried to test it out as best as possible and run it as many times as is available to me to test out all the rewards that are available, at least in day 1. But it seems right now in PTR you can only experience a handful of these challenges. Like, you can test out how they function, but not all of them are functionally here, not all of them are fully functionally stable, and not all of the rewards are in as of this moment. But I imagine with some of the different boss encounters, these challenges can really start to add up over time, especially when you start to get thrown in some of the more difficult dungeon bosses, as some of the Kata, Vanilla, and Wrath bosses really don't seem like they do too much. There's not too many bad overlapping mechanics in order for you to really adjust and make some moves and plan defenses and really make you think and make changes to your strategy. But there's a lot of potential for them to be able to really mix it up with the right bosses. And I would even love to see some of the more complex fights and maybe even some raid bosses added in there. And based on what I've been able to test with this experience, it seems like this mode has a lot of potential for a bunch of catch-up gear for all of your ults, with so many warband items dropping. Even if you do this event on your main, this could be an opportunity for you to catch up a bunch of new characters in order to get them kickstarted for Season 2 content. I also like the ability for players to be able to play this at their own convenience as solo by giving them a bunch of dungeon NPCs to party up with, but I imagine the pre-made player groups are probably going to be a little bit more efficient at this event, especially when it comes to maximizing the amount of points you can get from Dastardly duos. But with that being said, as always, I don't want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this PTR update. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community, probably the best place to keep up with all the newest patch notes and changes, whether it's for PTR or whether it is for live Season 2 Realm updates. Also, let me know what you think about this new boss rush mode coming out in 11.15, and what other changes would you want to see for this mode in the future. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.